Hi guys, welcome to the second episode of Creating a Character. This week's episode is all about mood boards. Something that I really quickly wanted to address is I've had a couple of people ask whether this is a guide for generically making characters or if this is a guide for a very specific character making process. I want to say this is how I make a character and how I'm making this one in particular. Each episode is looking at a different step in the process. So whilst this isn't a generic how to make a character, it is very personal to me. This is how I'm going about making my character. It is the sort of thing where, if you feel like a statement I've said applies to you, or if, I've brought up something that you never thought of before, go for it. Use it. Absolutely do. But this is not a be-all, end-all, absolute, you should do it like this. Everyone is different, everyone has a different way of creating characters and stories and just a different way of doing things. This is how I do things. This is my process for doing things. Yours might be different. If your process is different, let me know how. It'd be really interesting to hear. So yeah, this week we're looking at mood boards. You will see me go through my mood board for this Fae character that I'm creating. So as I said in the last video, I'm using Pinterest for these mood boards. So we're going to be going from the bottom of the Pinterest board, which is where the earliest pins that you've pinned on it, I guess, are, and then we're going to work our way up to the more recent pins that I've put on it. I'm going to just be going through, what I like about certain things, what it could say about the character. So yeah, everything that I'll be talking about will be specifically for my Fae character, but, you can do the same sort of thing with your mood boards. There are parts where I've thought something is really, really nice, but not necessarily practical for the character depending on where they're going to be placed. But it's keeping that sort of stuff in mind. And now, let's go look at my Pinterest board. So apologies if this comes out weirdly. I've had to re-record the audio to fit over what I've screen captured already. So yeah, let's get started here. We've got some really nice flower crowns. I really like these. They're very delicate and they're very pretty. We've even got the leggings over here. I think they're really nice. If we scroll up, we have got some really cool wigs. They give a really good idea for what sort of hairstyle I might want to give my character. I generally don't know what to do with my hair on any given day, so having ideas on the mood board for something like that is I think it's a really good idea, because chances are, you'll forget. I know I do. I especially like these. They've got really big chunky braids in them and big block fringes. I just think they look really, really nice like that. They also have a feminine, delicate feel to them. And if we come up here, we've got another big chunky flower crown. Very different to the other ones because this has got, big chunky flowers on it. But then they've also got this hairstyle here in which, the flowers are weaved into the hair, which again I think is a really cool idea if you're not sure what to do. Coming up now to the start of the dresses, so if we come back now to this bottom one here, it's got a normal corset on it, but with a big branchy flowery skirt made on it. And then if we come up here, we've got these two, they've got netted skirts on them, which is a really cool idea, I think. The netting, the tulle on them really pushes the skirt out, so you've got a very different shape, a very big shape on the bottom. And then we've got here these asymmetric style dresses. I think again these are really pretty. I especially like this one over here. It really shows a difference in shape between the top of the dress and the bottom of it, and I think it gives it just a really cool, unique look. Coming up to this dress here, I wouldn't really go for a dress like this, not particularly for this character, but I thought it was a good pin to add on to the mood board because it's got a really nice close fit even with unconventional materials. So if we come just over here, we've got again a very different kind of dress. This skirt has like a netted cape somewhat attached to it, and so, you know, as you can see, the leaves would sort of follow behind you without you necessarily seeing the net. So over here, we've got probably one of my favourite pins on this board. It's a Christmas tree dress. It doesn't really have a huge amount to do with the character, apart from the fact that, you know, someone's taken a Christmas tree and just sort of put it on a mannequin, and that can be a really cool idea. Most of these dresses are sleeveless, and so this pin came up, which is basically a flowered shawl, which can, you know, it would help keep my character warm if I did go for like a sleeveless costume. I just thought it looked, again, really nice. And then we come across some props here, some parasols that have been lined with flowers. Again, they're just really pretty and I think would work very nicely, just as an additional extra for the character to carry. And as we come up here, we've got this really beautiful corset that's got these branches sticking out at the hip line. I really like this piece. It's very structured. It gives a very different shape to a lot of the other dresses. These other dresses that we've got here are less three-dimensional, I think, than the ones we've seen previously. I think that's a good way to put it. So this one over here, the flowers are somewhat encased within the netted skirt. I think that's a really cool idea because, you know, you still have some three-dimensionalness to your costume, but you know, the flowers could move around unless you have them sewn down, which could become an issue. This next dress is a very different way of having the flowered theme or pattern on a dress. These are all embroidered on and they look absolutely amazing. It looks beautiful. However, I know that this embroidery will probably make it quite heavy, especially on this very fine fabric that it's on there, so it's something to keep in mind. This other dress here has, you know, it's more vine-like embroidery on it, and then just over here we've got some arm wrappings, which if I do go for some sort of sleeveless costume, having arm wrappings might help keep my arms warm, which would be helpful because I tend to get cold very quickly. So the next thing I came across were shoes. These leaf shoes here I think are absolutely gorgeous. I really love the idea of, you know, this character just dancing around the woods with these sorts of shoes. However, I know that they may not necessarily be practical for me, because a lot of the LARPs I tend to go to, they are outdoors in wooded, muddy areas. However, we've got some leafed boots over here. So, you know, these are just normal boots that have got an overlay on them to decorate them, which I think might be a much better idea. I know that I wear hiking boots to LARP, so maybe just having something to decoratively go over these hiking boots be a better path for me to go down. So over here we've got two capes. This first one is very similar to the skirt that had, you know, the netted cape behind it. This is also netted, it's got leaves on it. Again, gives that magical feeling that, you know, leaves are following around you. This other cape, you know, it's more of a shoulder cape. It's definitely going to keep someone warmer. The material is thicker than just the netted cape, and it gives off a very different impression. The netted cape gives off a very magical effect, whereas this gives off a much more practical effect. And as we come up here, we've got this really cool leaf utility belt. I think this is a really great idea. Again, it fits the theme, it just really works for me. We've also got this potion bottle, again, just a proppy piece, it's got some little leaves sticking out the other side of it, and it just has a nice effect. The same with these suspenders or these tights. They really give the effect of vines and flowers just sort of growing up and down the actual character's body, which again I think is a really cool effect. And another sort of belt pouch idea, this one is to go on an existing belt. As you see, the belt loops are up there. It's more of an apron style. And as we come up here, we get another two dresses here. This one I really, really love. Like, I just love the shape of it, the design, and it has, a really cool shoulder cape that goes with it, and the sleeves are really cool. And it's a very simple design. It's just got it's almost like it's made out of a few big leaves. And then as we come up again, we've got a very similar shaped dress. This one is more historically authentic. I think this is the most historically authentic dress that I've actually got on the mood board. Again, the sleeves are really lovely. It's got a great shape to it, and it's much more realistic for someone to be wearing this sort of thing. One thing that I completely forgot about until Pinterest poked me with it is wings. So we've got these insect-like wings here, which I think are really cool. This second pair of wings over here is almost much more decorative, the idea that this character may have wings, but they're made out of branches and vines. They're not necessarily any good for actually flying. I really like this, a very decorative piece. So as we come up to this here, we've got, some nice stitching. It's, they were originally simple stitches, and someone's just going through the two of them with some extra thread to make them look a lot more complex. It's little details that can really add to a character or a costume. So I think I put this on the board just to remember that, little details can really make a big difference. So as we scroll up a bit more, we come across the first piece of armour that I've actually saved on this Pinterest board. It's a leather jerkin, and does this character need to wear armour? If it does, is it obviously armour, or is it integrated into the costume? Do they magically have armour? Are they just really tough to hit? They don't go down very easily. Scrolling up a bit more, we've got these two neck pieces. They're like collar pieces, and it reminded me again, jewellery. Jewellery is a very big aspect for some characters. Similar to the stitching, just a little piece of it can add a lot of detail to your character. So, we've got this really nice leaf kind of necklace over here. Coming up now to hats. If you're not sure what to do with your hair, a hat can be a really good, easy way of just covering it all up and somewhat forgetting about it. If trying to do your hair in a complex or even a simple style is not for you, a hat is a really good idea. And coming up again, we've got a couple of mushroom hats. I fell in love with these the moment I saw them. I just think they're really, really fun. They can be a big character piece. I just really love them. I think I would genuinely wear one outside of LARP if I was confident enough to do so. But yeah, they're great. I just really do love them. Coming up a bit more, we've got over here almost like a branch crown, very different to the flower crown, but gives a branch feel. I really like that. We've also got these flower hair pieces, which have vines coming down from them. Vine dreadlocks in your hair. I think that looks really, really cool. And then just up here, the last stuff we've got is, a pine cone crown.
There's a lot of crowns out there that can be made of a lot of different materials, and I think that's really cool. We've also got this structured gold dress. I think I really liked the branches coming out of the back of this. We've got a shoulder cape here, which I think is probably the one that goes with the similar styled dress down below. And then this golden wonderland dress here. This is just a really good example of how all the different pieces of costume can come together, you know. The hat matches with the dress, which matches with the cape, and all the leaves behind her. This dress isn't necessarily practical for someone who might be fighting, though, as, well, you can only see her hands, how she's moving her arms around. But again, I do really like these sorts of dresses, not necessarily ones you can't move around in, but ones that are more of a statement themselves. So, you know, if I scroll back down to here, to this Christmas dress, maybe this is almost like a secondary costume, something that, you know, this character can wear if they're going to an indoor event or a low combat event. It's important to remember again, you know, people change clothes, characters change clothes. What she wears in the woods may not be what she wears indoors at a fancy dinner. So maybe more than one costume is a really good idea if you're not sure what your character would wear necessarily.
So, I don't know about you, but I found that really fun and really quite interesting to go through it. You know, there were a lot of things that I forgot that I'd pinned on there. I believe it's important to, you know, keep your mood board going throughout a project, add new things to it, you know, change things around. It really helps give you an idea of what your character is about. So definitely keep it, you know, if you look down the rest of my Pinterest, I've got boards on there from university that I just don't want to delete because I really like what's on them. You know, I don't want to get rid of them. One thing that I didn't talk about is primary sources, mainly because, if I'm honest, I kind of forgot that they were a thing. Primary sources are really good. It's, you know, going out somewhere yourself and finding out information for yourself, whether that's, you know, going to a library, taking photos, or doing what I'm doing right now, which is, you know, sitting in a forest. The birds are crowing and people are walking their dogs that keep barking. So yeah, primary sources can be really good. It can be difficult, I think, at times to get them, depending on what sort of thing you're looking at. But for someone like my Fae character, pretty easy. You know, it's woods, fields, nature. There is quite a lot of that where I am, so I don't really have any excuses, to be honest. Yeah, primary source is good. That's it though for this video. We will be coming back to the mood board. We'll always be touching up on it again. Again, like I said, I think that is quite important to do. So yeah, the next episode will be going through the rulebook for the LARP system, maybe just discussing one or two things that might affect the character and how we can make sure that they fit in that LARP system, so, you know, I'm not having to do a whole bunch of rewrites right before we go to an event or something like that. Until then, I hope you've had fun watching this, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!